The Browns, they've traded for Amari Cooper, a big move for Andrew Berry, maybe the biggest move so far as the GM of the Cleveland Browns. And my first thought coming out of the trade was, does this pave the way for a Deshaun Watson trade? We talked about this. I put a video up just a couple hours ago talking about this, and we're back here because the Browns made the big move. We knew they were interested in Cooper, and I guess they didn't want to let him hit free agency and let another team swoop in and get him. So they make the trade with the Cowboys. The trade details, I want to get this right. They gave up a 5th and a 6th round pick, but they also get the Cowboys 6th round pick. So basically, they're moving a couple spots back in the 6th round, and they gave up a 5th rounder. So the way you can really look at this is move back in the 6th, and you lose your 5th round pick for Amari Cooper, a 4-time Pro Bowl wide receiver who has still got plenty left to take. 27 years old, so he's a little younger than Jarvis Landry, who I think, by the way, this kind of puts the nail in the coffin of the idea of Jarvis Landry sticking around for 2022 because you're just going to pay this, you pay your new star wide receiver Cooper all this money. Now, it does make you wonder, could a Deshaun Watson trade follow? Before we get to that idea, let's just right off the bat here, grade the trade for me. A, B, C, D, or F. I'm giving this an A. It may not be a great trade, kind of like OBJ wasn't when you look back, but in the moment, look at the rest of the AFC. They're all getting better. Wilson goes from the NFC to the AFC. Rodgers stays in the NFC, so you get a little help there, I guess. But the rest of the AFC is in an arms race. And to me, it looks like Andrew Berry and the Browns don't want to sit on their hands. Don't want to just let the rest of the league pass them by and hope and go on a wing and a prayer of maybe we can find a good way, some good run game and some hard-nosed defense to grind out a couple wins. No. Berry's like, let's get some playmakers. Let's get some stars on this team, and I get it. We got OBJ a couple years ago, and that didn't work out. But I don't think you can approach it and go, well, because Odell Beckham Jr. didn't work out at the Browns, we can never get a star wide receiver. I wouldn't rule that out. That's a little silly to me. This happens to every team in the NFL. You know, they swing and miss on big signings or big trades at certain position groups. It doesn't mean that for the rest of that franchise or the rest of that quarterback's career there, they can never have a good target. I think that's a little premature. Now, if we have a pattern of 2 wide receivers now working in Cleveland, like Cooper and OBJ, then we can have a more in-depth discussion. But grade the trade for me, A, B, C, D, or F. And while you're down there, I know if you're watching this for the first time, it doesn't look very appealing right now as I sit in my grandpa's studio, but my grandpa's office. But promise you, we usually go back in Chat Sports office and Chat Sports studios and get some wonderful graphics cooked up for you guys. But working on the fly here, working on vacay for the weekend. So let me know what your grade is and make sure you subscribe, so we can get more Browns free agency content your way, as that's going to pick up a little bit. Had a video is going to go out Sunday talking about free agent targets, and wide receiver is no longer going to be one of the biggest targets for the Browns in terms of they're not going to go out and shell the big bucks for Allen Robinson or DJ Chark. Maybe they go a little safer, like a Cedric Wilson from the Cowboys, or like a Christian Kirk. I mean, he may be too pricey for the Browns at this point. But big moves here by the Browns. And now let's talk about Deshaun Watson a little bit, because he's got that no-trade clause. That's step number 1. Anytime you want to engage in trade talks for Watson, you got to remember he gets to decide where he goes. So the Browns are making themselves, I think, more appealing for Watson, especially when you look at the teams that pulled themselves out of the Watson race. No more Dolphins. That was a leader. No more Broncos. The 49ers are apparently out of the race as well. So now you whittle it down a little bit to the Seahawks, the Browns. The Eagles, by the way, are no longer in it apparently. Maybe they are, but rumors are that they kind of backed out of it. So Seahawks, Browns, Panthers. I would think Seattle is the most appealing just because of DK Metcalf and a little more storied success in the last 10 years, right? They've got a Super Bowl ring to look at. But Amari Cooper could be pretty persuading for Deshaun Watson if he looks at this and he goes, you know what? If Cleveland wants to invest in me and they want to make the best pitch to, hey, Watson, here's what we're going to do to make sure you thrive as a quarterback. Because I look at Seattle, why do you think Wilson left? They couldn't keep the bruises off of him. He was like the most sacked quarterback in the last 5 years. They kept swinging out and missing on draft picks. So maybe the Browns tell him, hey, Watson, If you want to go to Seattle and get a bunch of black and blues, by all means, do that. But we've got the best offensive line here in Cleveland. And we're only getting better up front. And we've got a rising defense with stars like Myles Garrett, Denzel Ward, and J.O.K. So, not a bad option here. And the Panthers, they're just a loser franchise. Who cares about the Panthers? So, I'm not going to give them any more airtime. So, I think Cleveland could be making some connections here to get Watson. But let's circle back to Amari Cooper because that's the purpose of the second video today. Amari Cooper coming to Cleveland, and I think this is a good move for the Browns. Like I said off the top, didn't want to see them sit in their hands. So if they weren't going to get Cooper, make a move for Allen Robinson. Or after Robinson, you kind of fall off a cliff a little bit to Allen Lazard or Juju Smith-Schuster. No, they go out and they get their guy, and it only costs them a 5th-round pick. Now, Cooper, he's under contract, and the contracts and the salary caps, they're kind of fake. I love looking at them, but we just saw the Saints clear out so much cap space, make so much cap space by just moving numbers around, and all of a sudden the cap disappears. But Cooper signed a 5-year, $100 million deal with the Cowboys back in 2020. So he's under contract for 2022, 2023, and 2024. I don't know if the Browns are going to extend him. Maybe a 2-year extension, get him back to 5 years. But he's got a nice cap hit of, was it $20 million this season? Now, they may restructure that because teams can always just do that and make all their problems go away. But that gives you a rough idea. Now, Landry had a cap hit of, what was it, $16 million for this season? So there's just no way they can, I think, financially hold on to Cooper and Landry in 2022. So it's a bit of a bittersweet moment, but, let's call a spade here. Amari Cooper is a better wide receiver than Jarvis Landry. Now, Landry's done phenomenal things for the Cleveland Browns organization, for the fan base, for the culture, instilling just some winning in the Browns franchise for the first time in a little bit here. But this does make things interesting for Watson, and I can't positively say that Baker Mayfield's going to be the quarterback in 2022, like I have been able to say the last couple of weeks, because in my mind, Barry was only going to trade for a quarterback if it was Wilson, Rodgers, or Watson. The first two are gone. We're down to Watson. And if a couple teams have pulled out of the race for him, the Browns have a pretty good pitch. It's almost like cities pitching to the Olympic Committee why you should come here. If I'm Cleveland, I tell them, I'm looking at Seattle, the next best option. They have a horrible offensive line, and Russell Wilson was sacked all the time there. Here at the Cleveland Browns, we've got one of the best offensive lines. We've got a great run game, so we're not just going to, zero in on you, and we'll give you plenty of targets, no doubt about it. But we can have a nice balanced offensive approach. And you've got Cooper to throw to, right, if Watson wants to come there now. And we're building. We got Anthony Schwartz, Donovan Peoples-Jones. So if you're the Browns, maybe take a good hard look at trading 3 firsts, a second, and like I said in the last video, which is now going to be relatively somewhat dated, about 2.5 hours ago, of trading trading Grant Delpit or Greedy Williams, someone in that genre for it. All right, so grade the trade for me, Amari Cooper. And let me ask one more question. Do you want the Browns to go out and get Watson now? Y for yes, N for no. We'll keep it simple. Let me know what you think. I'm giving an A and a yet and a Y. Watson's got the legality issues. He's got 22 civil lawsuits against him, but this is the NFL, and I don't know if we're always in the best position to be the morality police because we got Kareem Hunt. I mean, come on. Let's not kid ourselves and act like we're saints all of a sudden, and hopefully this doesn't get me canceled, but I just think it'd be a bit hypocritical if people want to turn a blind eye to one player but not the other player, right? But it is worth noting, I wonder if Watson's got a suspension coming. Ben Roethlisberger got a 6-game suspension. I think it was reduced after one case brought against him. Ezekiel Elliott, he had a handful, 6-game, 4-game suspension, something like that, for one case brought against him. Watson's got 22. Now, Watson did miss the entire 2021 season. So will the NFL go and say, that was your suspension? We don't want you to miss more time. It's too good. It's too much of a miss on the business side of things to not have you out on the field. That's an interesting conversation that the NFL is going to have with Watson and his team and his agent. But I think the Browns are putting themselves in a nice position to slingshot, like Ricky Bobby style, right? Cal Naughton Jr., slingshot, engage, to get themselves to the front of the line to maybe pull off what would be the greatest move, arguably, for a Browns GM, right? To get Amari Cooper and Deshaun Watson within a week. Because the Watson news, I think the Watson decision or where he's going to go is going to come soon during NFL free agency. So a lot of big stuff happening for Cleveland. Berea, they are busy right now, and I like to see it because the rest of the AFC is getting better. Another like Khalil Mack, right, goes to the NFC to the AFC. It just seems like the stars are moving, and if you're not moving forward, you're moving backwards. If you're staying still, you're getting worse. So I like to see the Browns making some serious strides to get better. But if they don't land Deshaun Watson, tell me you wouldn't be a little bit excited about Amari Cooper, Garrett Wilson, Treylon Burks, whoever you want at 13, Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, DPJ, and Baker Mayfield. Put Baker last because that's the polarizing one. That's the questionable one, right? We don't know what Baker's going to look like in 2022. Will we get the second half of 2020 or all of 2021? I hope 2020. We all should hope for that, but we're going to find out. All right, that's going to do it for us. I can already hear my family calling me to get back to playing cards or something for vacation. So I'm going to sign off here, but wanted to get a video out to you guys because the Browns are making some big moves here, and I, for one, love to see it.